Yo, what's up, Hoophead Nation, and welcome to episode 64 of Buzzer Beaters. I'm Eddie Aparicio, and this is my co-host, Anthony Tuan Corral, and we are brought to you by grumblingsmedia.com. You can find us there, as well as wherever you get your popular podcast outlets. Wherever you want to go get them, that's where you can find us. Anyway, what we're going to go ahead and do is, if this is your first time, we go ahead and take a walk around the NBA first. We talk about dibble and dabble different topics, but then we segue into the Warriors because this is our, we're the Bay. This is the Bay Area. This is our team, and this is, Tuan and I's passion are the Warriors. So we talk about the Warriors every week because it's part of our show. So for episode 64, these are some of the things that we'll be kind of talking throughout the, we'll sprinkle around the NBA when we talk about this stuff. But the first thing is, the Pelicans fired Willie Green. Okay. Yeah. Now, Willie Green is, near and dear to us because, he actually came from the Warriors bench, right? I mean, he was actually a bench coach for the Warriors before he went to the Pelicans. So, he got fired. So we'll talk a little bit about that, if it was warranted or not. And then the other thing is calf strains. Victor Wembanyama, he's now got a calf strain. And this seems to be the latest epidemic that's going on in the NBA. It's calf strains, right?
And
so we're
the young players, seems like that.
Yeah, exactly, man. And then LeBron, right? LeBron went ahead and got into his 23rd season. Got a standing ovation for being the only player to ever play 23 seasons, right? So we'll talk about how many more seasons can we expect out of LeBron, right? There's talk about him possibly going on to a different team. There's been talk about that for quite some time. And then, the last thing, we talk about Curry, of course, when we get into the Warriors segment, but man, Curry's just playing a lot. He's just playing out of his mind, bro. I mean, we can talk about a lot about that, but before we get into it, bro, what's been going on with you, man? Anything new and exciting in your world, bro?
No, man, not much. Just next week's Thanksgiving. So, little by little, just prepping around that. As I mentioned in the previous week, just finishing up my kitchen. So that's kind of just about done. So just focusing on that. No, other than that, everything's been, pardon the pun, pretty steady Eddie.
Yeah, I hear you, bro. I hear you. Yeah. Well, I had, you saw me that I got you the slides for tonight's show kind of late. It's because I had to go, to a family funeral. Unfortunately, it was one of my cousins whose husband's mom passed away, and I'm close to that family, and it was an all-day deal. It was up in San Francisco. Okay. And so, and of course, having to deal with traffic coming back from San Francisco, it took an hour and a half, of course. That's kind of par for the course, right? Yeah. But anyway, that's why I was kind of just moving around today. I was just kind of like, I was totally like trying to get this all done last minute, man. But we're ready to go, man, so we can get started. By the way, one thing I want to kind of point out before I forgot about this is that we are here live every Wednesday, and we're here live because we want to hear from you. We want to get your questions, your comments, right? We actually used to get a lot of those in the past, and I think when we kind of took some time off, I think people forgot about us. But now we're back here, right? We're here every week, Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, and then 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. So we're here every Wednesday. But one thing I forgot to mention is that we're also going to talk about, we have this segment that we had done in the past called the Rookie Watch. And we go ahead and go through the analytics of all of the top 10 rookies and scoring, analytics, playing time, all that. We're going to kind of talk about. That's a fun segment. We do that at least about once a month, and it leads up, it kind of helps us kind of predict who could be more than likely going to be the rookie of the year. We also have a comparison against, our analytics versus what NBA.com has on their rookie. Yep. So we'll talk about that. Then the other thing is that Tuan did some research, and what we wanted to do is kind of find out who were the best rated point guards, shooting guards, small forward, power forward, centers in the NBA from both conferences. Tuan went ahead and did some research, and he's going to go ahead and talk about that as well.
Yep.
And then we'll dovetail into the Warriors. So anyway, I just want to go ahead and talk about that, bro. So cool. Before we get into it, anything else you want to bring up, bro?
No.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right, let's get into it, man. All right, so walk around the NBA. All right, now I kind of put it up there on the caption for episode 64 that on Saturday Willie Green got fired of the Pelicans, right? Yes. And the Pelicans were a team that was supposed to be pretty good, because they have a lot of talent on that team. But what happened is they had just a bunch of injuries last year that just completely plagued their season, right? You had DeJounte Murray, he got hurt, right? Then you had CJ McCollum get hurt. Then you had Trey Murphy get hurt. Then you had Brandon Ingram get hurt. Then he got traded, right? Then you had freaking Zion Williamson. I mean, they were just plagued by injuries, right?
Don't forget the point guard.
Alvarado?
No, the
DeJounte Murray. Oh.
Yeah, DeJounte Murray.
Yeah, DeJounte Murray. He was the first guy. He was the first guy that got hurt. Yeah. So now comes second season, and the expectations are that they should be better than they were last year because of all their injuries, right? And lo and behold, Zion Williamson comes in great shape, lost a lot of weight, but he got injured again, right? And the poor guy can't seem to stay on the court that long to save his life for whatever reason, man. But the guy is like, when he's out there, he is a difference maker, right? So I want to ask you, Twan, given the hardships, the bad luck of this team from a health standpoint, was it warranted to go ahead and fire Willie Green?
No. Willie Green was fired. And forgive me, I don't remember the previous head coach that was fired for the same reason. And I believe Alvin Gentry was the coach before that got fired for the same reason. At some point when you're an owner, and I know this, you and I have talked about this, I may have said this in the past, when the Warriors were sucky.
Yeah.
They had good players. We had Weber, we had Hardaway, we had Run TMC, we had decent players. We can never get out of our own way.
Yeah.
And I've consistently said that heads up to ownership, right? So to me, this is an ownership problem. What can they do? I don't know. Sell? I don't know. Get less involved? Get more involved? I don't know. But this isn't on Willie Green. This isn't on any of the coaches that have been let go. The other problem that you take with this issue is that one of the worst things you can do to a team is reset it. New coach, new ideals,
I agree.
New philosophy,
no continuity.
So on top of all of the injuries, you're doing this to the team, which to me isn't warranted. You haven't even seen what the product was. Last week we talked about Nico Harrison getting fired. Whether he should have or not, different discussion. But you never saw the team he assembled. So how can you blame these people when the players aren't available? Now you're going to make it more inconsistent because you're going to put in a new system or a new philosophy? No, I just think you're headed in the wrong direction.
And I think a lot of it stems, of course, we already talked about the bad luck of the injuries happening to this team. Yep. The other thing is that New Orleans isn't necessarily the greatest market for basketball, man, realistically, right? I mean, and the ownership probably is seeing that his team's not doing well. And even when his team was doing well, I'm sure ticket sales weren't that great at that time either. And in my opinion, I think they probably need to move to a different location.
That's it.
I just think they need a change of location, right? The culture, when you have an owner that is impatient, you kind of have these changes that happen all the time, right? And and with that comes a lot of turmoil a lot of times, right? So I agree with you, bro. Willie Green is a good dude, right? Former basketball player, former NBA player, played for the Spurs. Played, actually was, he was tutored by Greg Popovich and also Steve Kerr, right? So this guy has got the ability to be a good coach. He just has to have the ability to coach, be able to stay and keep a culture going for more than like 3 or 4 seasons, right? And he needs to be longer than that. And I guess the results, prove that you have to have winning. You have to have wins, right? And the bottom line is you have to have wins in order to keep a job, but you also have to kind of weigh all the factors that go into it, right? And I think
and one of the things is their star player Zion is forever hurt. So how do you build a team when the guy you built a team around is never available?
Right. No, I agree, man. I agree with you.
I mean, they have to do something there. They need pieces that are going to be available, and so. I mean, and the way that I like to look at it is, you look at like the Niners or the Steelers, right? The Niners get hurt all the time, but their management is in place. And so they're always at least fighting for a playoff spot. They're always there, whether they're losing 1,000 players or one, and so I look at it the same way. Yeah, they need more consistency, not less consistency. And what they did was probably fire a pretty damn good head coach. And just create inconsistency. So
I agree that they shouldn't have fired him, but hey, I think he's going to get gobbled up by somebody else here shortly. So I don't think he's going to be out of a job that long. So
Kerr's up for renewal this year. We'll see how that works.
Right. We shall see. Right, and it's interesting that he hasn't gotten renewed yet. And we'll get into the Warriors when we get there, man. So let me. I brought up the whole we're walking around the NBA here, but we're going to focus first on the West because that's where a lot of the news has been happening. Victor Wembanyama, all right, poor kid, man. That guy just came out like flames ablazing, man. He was unbelievable when he first came out. His dribbling ability, his footwork. I mean, he was just taking this league by storm. He just looked like a different guy from last year, and of course grew as well. You're like, you're 2 inches, and then lo and behold, that poor guy can't stay on the court, man.
Yes.
Last year it had to do with deep vein thrombosis or blood clots, right? That sidelined him for most of the second half of the season. Then this season, that was all behind him. But then comes the calf strain, right? And that seems to be a league-wide issue right now in the NBA. Calf strains. Why? I don't know, right? But it's happening, right? He's not the only guy. You got Dylan Harper, who's another teammate of his. He's also been sidelined with the calf strain. John Morant also has this injury, right? He's been dealing with it. Drew Holiday, another guy who just had it recently. Rui Hachimura, Kobe White from the Bulls. He had this. He hadn't played because of this. So, I mean, what's going on, bro? Is it the way that they're training? Is it just what do you think, man? What's going on, man?
So here's a different spin or a different angle. Tell me what you think.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant had a calf strain, then tore his ACL.
Yes.
Halliburton had a calf strain.
He tore his Achilles.
Oh, sorry, his Achilles.
Both of them Achilles.
Yes, yeah. Sorry, that's what I meant. I meant Achilles.
Mm-hmm.
Halliburton had a calf strain, tried to play through it, then tore his Achilles. When you tear your Achilles, you're out a minimum of a year.
A year, minimum.
A minimum of a year. I am of the belief that calf strains are being taken super seriously now. So when
that's a good call. You might be right. Yeah.
In the past, when players would be willing to play through it, now the team is going, dude, we can't lose you for a whole year. Sit down a month, sit down 6 weeks. Let's get this thing worked out, and then bring you back on the court. So I'm a little uncertain whether we're seeing more calf strains or we're just seeing more attention to the calf strains.
That's a good point, bro, because, I'm sure that this injury, it's inherent, because of the way, you have quick cuts, bursts, right, in basketball. And anytime you have that kind of activity, you get some of these muscle kind of, issues, right?
Yep.
Calf strain being a muscle tear, essentially what it is. Anytime you hear the word strain, it means tear, right? It's just a matter of the grade of the tear that it is.
Micro tears or severe tear.
Right. So but that's a good point, Twan. I didn't even think about that. That is there seems to be a lot more attention to it now because of what's it's kind of a precursor to a longer term injury if you don't watch out for it, right? If you don't rest it, right? So you might be right. That's probably what it is that there's a lot more attention to it because this probably has been happening for a long time, but people, like you just said, players play through it, right? So, but the NBA, they don't want to lose, they're losing a lot of viewership, right? And it's not necessarily because of, the players. It's probably a lot of it has to do with the politics around, some of these NBA players are pretty outspoken, that's part of it, right? And then also the load management issue too, right? And the NBA tried to crack down on that, trying to, and actually, I don't know if you saw this, but a team got fined. The Cavaliers got fined $100,000.
I did see that.
They got fined for that, right? Yeah. Because they had Spider Mitchell. He was sitting out, and another Evan Mobley, I think, was the other one. They sat out without reporting that they were, injured. So they got fined. So, but anyway, so this calf injury issue, I think, is something to look out for. I mean, I think this is going to create some kind of an issue that the NBA has to figure out as to why this is happening, right? If it's a new thing. Or if it's something that you just pointed out, it could have been something that's been happening all along, just more attention to it, right?
Yeah.
They have to investigate as to why this is going on.
Yeah, and the pace in the league this year is faster than ever.
Yeah.
The 3-and-D guys are more often, so there's a lot. When you look at old school basketball, there was a lot of banging down low. You weren't really putting a lot of pressure on your lower leg, from the knee down. There wasn't a lot of ankle or a calf kind of movement, but now when you're cutting, you're shooting out to defend a 3-point line. So, I mean, that there also could be something there. And one thing that I did want to touch on, Wembanyama is 21 years old. I believe this is year 3 now, correct? For him?
This is number 1, 2, 3, 4. I think this is 4.
Okay.
Year 4.
He's 20 years old. He's now had an injury for 2 of those 4 years. Yep. You and I both believe that if this guy can figure out how to stay healthy, we're probably looking at the greatest player in NBA history.
He has to stay healthy, though, bro. That's the problem, right?
Yeah, that is the problem. Right now, at 21, he's showing these things, and that is way too young to start showing this much injury. So I am a little concerned about him, just given his age and the injuries that he's getting. Like, this isn't going to bode well for when he gets older.
No, I agree with you, man. And it might be just, he's so long, dude. I mean, and he's still growing. You know, I can't identify with that, right? I stopped growing a long time ago. No, this guy is still growing. And
it's ridiculous to see him, Luke Cornett, who's 7 foot, he like dwarfs him.
He dwarfs him.
It's just insane. Like, I'm just like, dude, this dude is mammoth.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you.
Draymond Green was guarding him. It was hilarious. It was like a little kid guarding him.
Dude, did Draymond Green do like he? We'll get into that, but we'll just save that thought, right? Because we'll talk about when we get into the Warriors segment. But we want to go ahead and keep walking around the NBA here a little bit. All right. So anyway, so this cap strain issue, I think that was a good point that you brought up. There's just more attention to it, and I think the trainers and ownership and general managers, they're all being super cautious about it. And if anybody has a grade 1 cap string, which is the lowest one, you sit right for at least a month, right? So that's probably what's happening, man. Here, so
I'd rather lose you for a month than a year.
Yeah, right, exactly.
The interesting part is going to be that if any of these players rest, they come back and still get an Achilles tear, right? That's going to be the interesting part, right? I mean, I'm hoping it doesn't, but if that happens, they're going to figure out: are we not being cautious enough? Is there another solution? We'll see. We'll kind of see how this develops.
We shall see, man. Yeah. All right, bro. So the other thing that happened in this past week is LeBron James, right? The guy played in his first game of the season a few nights ago, right? And came to a standing ovation because he is the only player in NBA history to have played 23 seasons. That's incredible, bro. And this guy is...
Congratulations. It is incredible.
It's incredible. And us as Warrior fans, it's tough for us to say congratulations to LeBron, right? But you gotta give a respect to that guy because he's an incredible basketball player. He's in incredible shape, dude. All right. I mean, the guy is the model of not being injured for a long period of time. I mean, that to be able to accrue as many points as he has in his career for not really being a scoring type guy. Really, he's more of a pass first guy in his career. It's incredible. It's because of how many games he's been able to play, right? And he is the model of health for the NBA because he spends so much money on himself on health. So you have seen, I've admired this game for a long time. It's just awesome, right? But he can be a punk sometimes to me, right? That's why there's part of it that I don't like him on the court because he kind of flops a little bit for being 6'8" and 260, right? And he's just always complaining to the refs. Put that aside right now. That guy's an unbelievable basketball player. I have mad respect for him.
I agree. To me, the thing that him and Tom Brady share is their ability to take care of themselves, their ability to make sure. The problem not even a problem, but the old school thinking that I have is we want our athletes like Pete Rose or we want the guy to give everything he's got, throw himself on the floor, pass. LeBron's not that guy. He's never been that guy. He will never be that guy. He's an intelligent player that's he's been planning to play 23 years from year one. I mean, you can tell that's been in his mind since day one. This is how long I'm going to play. And so I think that to me, that's sometimes when you look at him and go, you care more about yourself than winning. Like, I'm not saying that's true.
Yeah, you're talking about the image.
That's kind of the image that one gets. And that's, I think, what might rub some people the wrong way. Some of us old guys that, just get in there, what are you doing? Stop flopping. You're like,
right.
And knock them over and fight. And but kudos to him. 23 years is an incredible accomplishment. Of course, his first bucket back's a 3-pointer. Everyone's cheering, as they should have. And at this point, I literally could see him playing 2 or 3 more years. I mean, just based on the way he looks and moves and is, he hasn't even, you could argue he's the main guy on that team, even though, Doncic, he's battling
Doncic is the guy.
But you could argue that he's up there. He's 1A.
Sure. I mean, he's the one who brings in the tickets, really. I mean,
exactly,
Doncic is too, but he's the guy, really.
Yeah, but you figure if he's going to follow his career, at some point he's going to be maybe come off the bench or, just kind of lessen his role. And he hasn't even started that stage of his career. Maybe he never will. Maybe once he gets to that, he's just like, I'm out.
I don't think he's going to be a bench. I don't think he's ever going to come off the bench, man. I mean, the guy, he's like you said, 2 to 3 years, probably more time. I think he's going to play at least another 3 years. That's my call. He has avoided serious injury his entire NBA career. The sciatica issue isn't really like a serious issue. It's just something that lingers, right? And as we get older, we have to kind of look out for that. And the guy is the oldest guy in the NBA, and he still plays like he's in his like late 20s, early 30s. He's unbelievable, man. Yeah. But so now let me ask you this: do you think he stays with the Lakers? Do you think that LeBron James stays with the Lakers after this? After his contract is up?
I'm thinking.
Yeah. Shh. Thinking.
Part of me wants to say no from his ego perspective, but I'm trying to think what options he would have.
Yeah.
Obviously, if he left, it would be to win another championship.
He wants to go to the Warriors. He wants to play for Curry.
Well, that makes sense simply for the fact that if he joined the Warriors, Steph couldn't pass him on championships. It would not be possible.
Yeah.
And I think that he's of the ego that would matter to him. Like that is something that he definitely doesn't want to have happen.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say he finishes his career.
You say stays with the Lakers.
Yeah, I think he stays.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there, but we all know the ego of a superstar athlete, bro.
Yeah.
The ego of a superstar athlete is really, really big, and there's another superstar athlete next to him, and if they're not winning championships, he's out, right? I think he's gonna want to go, play with Curry or try and find a way to play with Curry. I mean, we all know Joe Lacob has tried to get a trade to get LeBron on the Warriors. That happened last year, right? So, and that's something that LeBron has said. He wants to play with the chef. Who doesn't, right? Because he's unbelievable.
I'll tell you this: if he's a thinking fella, which I would suggest he is.
Yeah.
Do I want to go play with Steph, and it's 2 old guys, or am I comfortable playing behind Doncic, who is nearing his peak? The chances of him winning a championship as a player are greater than Curry winning a championship.
I agree. I agree with you.
Just given the fact that he's younger, and can handle more of the load.
Yes.
So for me, I think him going to the Warriors is more of
a PR thing.
Yeah, PR thing. Join, kind of have fun on my last couple of years. Not really
sell tickets like big time, man. There will be so much freaking TV revenue on that thing, bro.
Exactly. So I don't think that. Yeah, I don't think any move he makes to the Warriors, I don't know if he would have a championship in mind.
Yeah. Maybe not. It depends on who the Warriors get, right? If there's another trade, something, right?
But if he comes for LeBron prices, we're not getting anybody. I'll tell you.
I hear you.
Yeah,
I hear you, man. So, all right, man. Before we segue into the next segment, which is the rookie watch, let's go into the East. All right, now the Eastern Conference. The team that has been killing it, bro, are your Detroit Pistons.
My Detroit Pistons.
This is a team that Twan called last year as a team who was going to be up and coming. And lo and behold, they were a playoff team last year.
They seem to be here.
This year we both predicted they'd be a 4th seed. Right now, they're the number 1 seed in the East. They are 13-2, have won 11 games in a row, bro. And a few of those games they've won have been without Cade Cunningham. All right. Cade Cunningham is their best player, the former number 1 overall pick. This guy, Jalen Duren, their center, is balling, dude. All right. He is a monster. And I think he's a big part of the reason why James Wiseman is probably no longer in the NBA now, because he hasn't signed with anybody, because this was his chance. This was Wiseman's chance when he first left the Warriors to go play with Detroit and to be a starter, but then lo and behold, Jalen Duren showed up and said, "Nah, this is my job." James Wiseman hasn't been able to get a job since. They went to Indiana and then got his hair, and the rest is history. I don't know. By the way, I'm probably going to lose that bet to my brother-in-law because he picked Lonzo Ball over James Wiseman as being the better player in their career. And I almost bought him a $500 bottle of scotch this weekend, but he said, "No, let's save it for another time." Plus, their careers are not over yet. I'm like, "All right, save me $500."
No, but Wiseman's career might be over.
I think so. Well, if anybody would pick him up, it would be the Warriors. I think the Warriors should try and pick him up, honestly, because I know that that leg of like them. But that's a digression. Yep. Pistons, bro. Pistons,
monsters.
Are they for real?
Not this real, but yes, they're for real. They're not this real, but they are for real. I don't think they'll hold the number 1 position in the East. At the end of the day, I think maybe we ranked them a little low at 4. Maybe they're 2.
Yeah, we did. We did them at 4. We had the Knicks at 1.
Yeah,
right?
Maybe they're 2 or 3.
Cavs
but
at 2.
Yeah, they're not this real, but they're a solid squad. They are a solid squad. And no, I think they're somewhat real, mostly real.
Okay.
Much more real than the Bulls are when we were talking about them a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, you're right. And the Bulls have trickled down. Now they're the last 10. They're 4. They've only won 4 of their last 10, right?
Right.
So yeah, you were right in calling them out. But the Bulls did beat the Nikola Jokic Denver Nuggets in Denver this week, right? Yes. So that was impressive. Impressive that they. And we'll see what happens after that, because a lot of this winning in those type of situations can catapult the team to start winning a lot more, because they get a lot more confidence. We'll see. We'll see if that catapults the Bulls. The other team I wanted to point out are the Raptors, bro.
That was your team.
That was my team at the beginning of this season. All right, I said that team, watch out for them, man, because I think that they're a team to be on the lookout for. And dude, both of us, our knowledge of hoops, bro. You brought up the Pistons last year. I'm bringing up the Raptors this year, and lo and behold, they're both proving us right so far about our knowledge. Toronto Raptors, I knew there would be a problem just because they had Brandon Ingram that got traded to them last year, and Brandon Ingram didn't even get to play a single game, right? Then you got Scotty Barnes, who's like unbelievable on that team. You have Quickly, Emmanuel Quickly, and then you have RJ Barrett. I mean, then you have Jakob Poeltl, right? I mean, those 5 right there, it's really good, man. Then you have like these up and coming guys, like Jamal Shed. You have the guy Jonathan Mogbo from University of San Francisco. You have
don't call me Harry.
Oh yeah, Grady Dick. That's right. Forgot about Grady Dick. Yeah, and so I'm telling you, man, this team is they're on the rise, man. They're going to be the Detroit Pistons called of last year, this year for me, right? So
what I find ironic here, Eddie, is do you think the Cavaliers or the Knicks have lost their window?
I don't think the Cavs have lost their window. I don't think the Knicks have lost the window. The problem is the Knicks don't have Jalen Brunson right now, right? He's hurt. So that's a problem. But this has given them a chance to get other players developed. This guy, Miles McBride, has emerged to be a pretty damn good player, right? We know that OG Anunoby also was hurt, right? So that's the other. He has a hamstring, and the 2 stars, that's the reason why you're back a little bit. But Karl Anthony Towns is playing out of his butt right now, man. That guy's playing really, really well right now. So I don't think the Knicks. I think the Knicks are always going to be fighting for a top 3 position in this season, because the East is not as strong as it was in the past because of the Indiana Pacers sliding like they are, and then the Boston Celtics, right? They did a fire sale and getting rid of everybody once Jason Tatum tore his Achilles. So, but I would say the other team that other than the Raptors and the Detroit Pistons, the other team that actually has been playing pretty well lately are the Atlanta Hawks. Okay,
correct.
Atlanta Hawks have gone 7-3 in the last 10. All right. And, they're a team that kind of always was, and they're playing without Trae Young, man. Okay. They're doing this without Trae Young. Kind of leads you kind of wonder, are they better without Trae Young?
That's a discussion I'm willing to have. Trae Young is a talented player, but in the grand scheme of the plus minus world, I'm always wondering if, even if his numbers are in the plus, I'm wondering if he's just more of a minus.
Yeah, because of the way his style of play. Plus, he's small.
His size.
His size he's a defensive liability.
Yeah,
for sure.
He's a little too selfish to be that little. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that I think that's an argument we could have. I think they might be a better team without him.
Yeah, but so you're saying that this guy Dyson Daniels should be their point guard rather than
I just think it's more balanced, right? Again, this is just about balance, right? It's the same thing that I'm going to be interested to see the Lakers here once LeBron is day to day. How balanced is the team? You really want the team to be balanced, and I'll talk a little more about that when we get to the Warriors. But when you're an unbalanced team, it really negates what the other players can do, and they just don't. They shrink. They don't grow into like more solid players. And I think Trey is he's the type of player that causes other players to shrink just in his way of playing.
Yeah, because it's he even though he's a pretty good ball distributor, he is a pretty good ball distributor, and
he is.
He spreads the floor.
As is Luka, right? As is Luka, but it's just as is Harden, right? I'm kind of starting to see Trey in that mold, like yeah, you're a good distributor, but like it's about you. It's kind of you can't help it, but it's about you. Yeah,
his little ice tray thing. Right?
Yes, his little ice tray. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Interesting, man. So anyway, the Atlanta Hawks have been playing better, and that begs the question, right? And we talked about it briefly, whether they're better without Trae Young or not, right? The proof is in the pudding. We shall see. I don't know when Trae Young is due to come back. I know it's coming soon, but I just don't know exactly when. But the Atlanta Hawks are a team that is surging, and then on the opposite end, you have the Milwaukee Bucks. They have started. They're 4-6 in their last 10. They're starting to slide a little bit. The Charlotte Hornets were a team that looked pretty decent, and then they started sliding. The Indiana Pacers, man, unbelievable that they've only won one game, man.
Yeah,
one game, and that's with two players not being on the team anymore. With Miles Turner and Halliburton, right? They got Isaiah Jackson back, but they have everybody else back. Nembhard, McConnell, Nesmith, all of these guys, Pascal Siakam, they're all still there, man. These guys went to the conference final. They went to the finals, man. So, it's amazing how much that one player really made that much of a difference, man.
So let me ask you this, Eddie. Who do you think they miss more, Halliburton or Turner? As an organization,
I think it's Halliburton. Honestly, I think it's Halliburton.
Okay,
because even though Miles Turner was the longest tenured Pacer on that team when he left, right? He had been the longest tenured guy, very well liked guy in the locker room, very well respected, by the media. He's a glue guy, right? And he does. But the thing is that they have, Isaiah Jackson, who's a decent center, that plays for them. I forgot who else they had. They used to have James Wiseman, but they had somebody else too. I forgot. Anyway, so they have guys that can fill that role, but Isaiah Jackson can't shoot the three like Miles Turner can, right? That's the one difference, that he's more of a big that does all the dirty work, right? But I would say Halliburton is my call. That's why I think they miss more.
Honestly. Yeah, no, we'll see. The one thing, Indiana's always had grown men, big men.
Yeah.
Ever since the Davis brothers.
Dale Davis,
Antonio
Davis.
Yep. The kid that came to the Warriors, the high school kid, I can't remember his name. He played for the Warriors. He was an Indiana big man.
Jermaine O'Neal.
Jermaine O'Neal. Thank you. Yeah. They've always had like grown men, big men.
Yeah.
Like they're men.
Yeah, I hear you.
Like that's a dude right there.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure.
So, yeah, they have that reputation and but anyway, yeah. I do want to quickly mention, the Orlando Magic. They've been on a little bit of a hot streak as well.
They just beat our Warriors.
They've been doing it without Banchero, who's out for a couple of games. So they're a team to watch. I think they're going to start rising up through the ranks here in the next couple of weeks as we do our shows.
I think so too. I mean, they were picked by ESPN along with the Warriors to be in the finals. Right now, this team, we just saw them, because they played the Warriors. They're a very defensive-minded team. They actually got a shooter now in Desmond Bane, but Desmond Bane hadn't really showed up. He started showing up recently, but he had been somewhat marginalized for whatever reason. He just wasn't fitting in well with Banchero and Franz Wagner for whatever reason. But now he seems to be getting his footing, and sometimes it just takes time for teams to gel, right? So I think it's a good call. I think the Magic are a team on the rise. They shouldn't be near the bottom where they're at. They're not in the bottom, but they're not in the top 6 right now. They're the number 10th seed right now. So
every time I see Franz Wagner, it just breaks my heart.
Yeah, I know, because it could have been a Warrior, right?
He could have been a dub instead of Kuminga.
Right, man. All right, man. So we're at the 35 minutes. We try to do this within 45 minutes. We're not going to do it today because we have a lot of content. Just bear with us. Stay with us. We're going to probably be here for about an hour. But the next segment we want to go dovetail into is our monthly rookie watch. Now, this is the first of instantiation of the rookie watch for this season. So, it's almost a month of NBA play. We do this, like I said, on a monthly basis to kind of keep track of, these rookies and who we think are going to be the guys that could be the rookie of the year, right? So what I have here is you show that this is in minutes played. So, okay, let's see. You have shared screen. Okay, cool. So here are the top 10 in minutes played. And you can see right now, number 1 is VJ Edgecombe. And you'll see that I have the picture of the guy who's at number 1. You will see that that's VJ Edgecombe doing a dunk. But he leads all rookies right now in minutes plays at 37.3 minutes per game. That's tremendous right now, right?
Yep.
Cooper Flag. Okay, he's number 2 at 34.1. Then you got Con Knuppel. This is another, by the way, when we get into our rookie fantasy league, those 2 guys are on my team, VJ Edgecombe and Con Knuppel, and Cooper Flag's on yours, right? But you can see some of these guys, Dylan Harper hasn't played in quite some time because he also has a calf strain, right? All right, so he's only been playing 23.4 minutes. He's number 9 on our list. But you can go walk on down. Sion James is number 4. Cedric Coward is number 5. And you have Ryan Kalkbrenner. Now, what's interesting is that you have in the top 5, 3 of those guys, top 6, 3 of those guys are from the Charlotte Hornets, right? Yeah. Last year when we were doing this, it was the Washington Wizards that were always showing up, because they had I forgot who were the guys that they had. Bud Carrington was the guy. They had Keyshawn George as another guy, and then Alex Sarr. Those are the 3 guys that always consistently showed up. And we're seeing that kind of trend with the Charlotte Hornets this season, where you have, Con Knuppel, you have Sion James, and now you have Ryan Kalkbrenner that are shown on the top 10. After that, you have Jeremiah Fears and of the New Orleans Pelicans at number 7. And then Trey Johnson, who's also on your fantasy team, bro, at 25.1 minutes per game. And I already mentioned Dylan Harper. And the last one in the top 10 is Derek Queen of New Orleans Pelicans. So you can see 22.3 minutes per game. Now, are there any surprises from this list that stand out to you, bro? Minutes played. Anybody?
Played.
As far as amount of minutes or just where they're ranked?
No, Cedric Coward, I would have thought maybe he played a little bit less time.
Yeah, he's been put in. Yeah.
Yeah, Kalkbrenner as well. I would have thought, but anytime you have multiple players on one team, the last one of that bunch is always going to surprise me. Fears doesn't surprise me at all. They need all the help they can get. Trey Johnson's been a scoring machine even from the Vegas league, so I thought he would. Dylan Harper, I would say, is a little bit of a surprise. They got a lot of
he's that low. He's that low. Yeah.
Well, no, I'm actually surprised that he's getting even this many minutes. To be honest with you, just because they have a young team, they got a lot of players that they want to initiate. And he's a hyped name, but I just figured kind of the old Popovich mentality is kind of let him sit on the bench, let him kind of learn a little bit, and so I'm a little surprised that he's getting this many minutes this early in the season. Of course, Popovich isn't the coach anymore; not his call.
Yeah, and then Mitch Johnson. Yeah, Mitch Johnson is the coach now.
Yep. So I would say that when I see the Pelican players, the Charlotte players, that doesn't surprise me.
Doesn't surprise you because those are the teams that typically are not doing well, and then they want to go ahead and get as many of the young guys as many minutes as possible, right? So
correct. Yeah. I did read a little bit of an article there that talked about there's some concern around the amount of minutes Edgecombe is getting and whether or not he's going to hit a rookie wall sooner than he should, just because that's a lot of freaking minutes, Eddie.
Yeah, it is.
That's a 5-10-year NBA season veteran minutes.
I agree. Yeah. Honestly, rookies, in my opinion, unless out of necessity that they have to play, they should probably hover around 30 minutes max. That's my call. But that's my call as a former coach. That would be my call. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go on to the next one, man. So the next slide is points per game. Now, again, the guy that I'm showing here is Con Knuppel because he's actually number 1 on this list from points per game. So the top 10 to round it out, in case you're not watching us, but you're listening to us. Con Knuppel is number 1 at 17.2 points per game. Number 2 is Cooper Flag at 15.6 points per game, followed by Edgecombe. And they're pretty much tied at 15.6 points per game. So those are the top 3. Then number 4, you have Jeremiah Fears out of New Orleans Pelicans at 14.6 points per game. Cedric Coward would be number 5 at 14. And then Dylan Harper, 6. Trey Johnson, Derek Queen at 8. Ryan Kalkbrenner, and whoa, check that out at number 10.
Yes.
Our Warrior second-round pick, Will Richard, is in the top 10 in points per game. Yep. That was surprising when I saw that, man.
Well, not only that, he's not even in the top 10 in minutes.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I mean,
Top 10
and he
top
put
10
in
in
the
this.
starting lineup. I mean, dude, he might be one of the better second round picks, we've seen, at least for the Warriors, in quite some time since Draymond Green, right? Because Draymond Green was a second round pick, right?
Yep.
But anyway, so that's anything jump out to you here before we move on to the next slide?
No, I will say, having watched the Warriors play New Orleans, that Derek Queen guy, I like kind of the way he plays. He's smooth. He's a smooth big man.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to develop into anything, but I would say that I appreciate his style of play.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I would make.
The guys that I've seen here, dude, there was no surprise. I mean, I was telling you this even, when the draft was happening. I wasn't very high on Concanoople, man.
No,
I wasn't. Right?
You thought he was the benefactor in Duke from the other players that were on that team, and you thought he's not.
Correct.
His game may not translate into the NBA. Was kind of your outlook.
That was my thought, right? Yeah. But he's actually showing out to be decent, at least from a scoring standpoint, right? From a defensive standpoint, it remains to be seen, because that's what I thought his liability would be, because he's not athletic enough to be a really good defensive guy, whereas Cooper Flagg is, right? He's the number one pick for a reason, because he is a stud. But that surprised me that that to me, in watching all these guys, Concanoople has actually surprised me in being a little bit better than I thought he would be.
Yeah,
Cedric Coward is a guy that has really surprised me, man. I think this guy is playing very well, and he went to a really good system. What's interesting is that the Memphis Grizzlies have a lot of guys like this, man. Right? They have, a G.G. Jackson. They have a Vince Williams. They have, Cedric Coward. They have these long guys that, kind of like all similar wing kind of defenders, right? They're all like that. But what's interesting at the Memphis Grizzlies, they're kind of falling off, man. They're I don't know, something's wrong there, man. I mean, even Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr. isn't really playing like he had in the past, right? There's something to me that smells kind of fishy in that locker room, man.
I agree, and I think that's something fishy. Maybe John Morant.
It's possible, man, because he's been kind of talked about as, being trade bait for other teams, right? There was even talk about the Warriors should go after him. Like, no, man, I don't want any part of him, man. No. But all right, man, let's go to the next slide. So the next slide this is overall statistics. Okay, now this is kind of like a fantasy kind of metric, right? And we do this in our own little fantasy league that we're going to get and show you an update of how we're doing against each other right now. But if you take into consideration points, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals, turnovers, right? You kind of get a net rating based on how many minutes they play per game and how many stats they accumulate per game. And the guy that is at the top is Ryan Kalkbrenner. That's why you see his picture there. He's the guy at the top, right?
He's Charlotte Hornets that are playing pretty darn well.
Exactly. So number one is Ryan Kalkbrenner. For those of you who are not watching but listen, number one is Kalkbrenner. Again, this is overall statistical rankings, right? Kind of like a net fantasy points, metric, if you kind of will, from a minutes per fantasy points per minute standpoint on how many stats they accumulate per minute, in essence, right? So right now, Ryan Kalkbrenner is number one. Number two is Cedric Coward, the aforementioned Cedric Coward, who's really been impressive to me, right? Number three is Cooper Flagg of the Dallas Mavericks. He's in the top three in every category, right? I mean, is he the odds-on favorite to be Rookie of the Year?
No.
We shall see, right? We shall see. We're going to compare the next slide what NBA.com's rookie ladder says. All right. So number four is Concanoople. Again, another Charlotte Hornets. So the top four, there's two of them that are from the Charlotte Hornets. BJ Edgecombe is number 5 at Philadelphia 76ers. Jeremiah Fears, number 6. Dylan Harper, although he hasn't played in quite some time, the San Antonio Spurs, he's number 7. Derek Queen, again, from the New Orleans Pelicans, is number 8. Will Richard, dude. Number 9. Okay. Yep. This guy was the 56th pick in the draft, and he's number 9 in overall statistics. If you compare all, 60 guys or 59 guys that were drafted, he is number 9. Okay. And then you have Shion James to round out the top 10 of the Charlotte Hornets. So 3 of the Charlotte Hornets are in the top 10, right? Yeah. Anything stand out to you here, bro?
No, the only thing I would say is, Edgecombe has the advantage because he plays so much more minutes than everybody else on this list. So it doesn't surprise me that he's here. But no, I mean, nothing. Kalkbrenner being, I guess, number 1 does surprise me a little bit, which tells me
that surprised me.
the fact that he wasn't on the scoring list at all tells me that he's, one of those other stats he's very good at. I would assume it's rebounds and blocks, maybe somewhere in that nature. But he's a little bit of a surprise.
Well, what's interesting, bros? When we did this last year for last year's rookie class, the guy who was always near the top was Kling Kong, Donovan Clingan, right? Yes. He was always at the top, all right, near the top. And it's interesting that another big man is at the top. So it kind of goes to show you that the big men have come back a little bit, right? Yep. We have a little short about that. The dawn of the big man has come back, right? They're back. So, all right, man. So the last slide that we have here with the rookie watch is we want to go ahead and compare, the analytics that you saw on the previous slide, or the ones that I just read for those of you who are just listening, compared to the NBA.com rookie ladder. Okay. Now, we've argued that the rookie ladder, a lot of times it's all about flash, right? They really don't look at the statistics, all the kind of what we're looking at, the analytics, right? The analytics say that Ryan Kalkbrenner right now is the most effective guy in the NBA for this rookie class right now, right? According to NBA.com, Con Canupul right now is number one. And what they typically try and do is they try and predict who the best rookie guy or who's going to be the odds-on favorite to be rookie of the year. And right now, you had picked before the season, you had picked Cooper Flagg. I had picked Dylan Harper, right? But Dylan Harper has been hurt, and he hasn't really been playing that much. So I'm probably going to lose that one. But Con Canupul right now is number one. Number two on NBA.com's rookie ladder is Cedric Coward. Again, this guy's very impressive to me. I really, really like this kid. Number three is Cooper Flagg. And number four, DJ Edgecomb. Number five is Ryan Kalkbrenner, who's number one on the analytics, right? And then you have Jeremiah Fears. Then you have Trey Johnson. And Trey Johnson wasn't on the analytics. He's listed there, right? Derek Queen is listed. Ace Bailey is not listed on the analytics either, right? Will Richard is. Isn't that incredible that Will Richard right now is ranked 10th?
That is very incredible. Specifically, I mean, considering that he was even the Warriors' second pick in that draft. He wasn't even the Warriors' first pick in that draft.
Yes, and he's getting a lot more playing time. He's getting,
and to be honest with you, he deserves more than he's been getting.
Yeah, and he's got a good shot, man. He's got a way better shot than I expected. So
he's got a natural understanding of the game.
I agree, man. I agree. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and do this once a month. We're gonna show you I'm gonna show you some of the differences between this episode that we first talked about this, and then the ensuing episodes, and how the rankings have changed for that particular player for the ensuing rookie watch segments that we're gonna go ahead and discuss in the future. All right, so let's go on to the next slide. Now, this is going to be a quick little update. Twan and I, like if you haven't tuned in before, we had drafted. We did a kind of a fantasy draft between us, right? Twan got the number one pick, I got the second pick, and then we kind of built our team of five, with four being first rounders and then one second rounder. Now, what I have listed here is my team is at the top. I have Con Canupul, VJ Edgecomb, Colin Murray Boyles, Dylan Harper, and Johnny Broom. He was my second round pick. Twan has Cooper Flagg, Ace Bailey, Trey Johnson, Maluach of the Phoenix Suns, and then also Rasheer Fleming of the Phoenix Suns. Now you can see that the totals that you see here are the numbers, right? Con Canupul right now is the one that has the most points. He has 655.02 fantasy points from every game that he's played. I've been keeping track since the summer league to preseason to the games that have happened, 18, 19, 17, 18, 19 games that have happened in the NBA thus far. That's how many points he has accrued from a points, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals, and turnover standpoint. That's how many points he has accumulated. And according to NBA.com, Con Canupul is odds-on favorite to be the rookie of the year. Right here, he is now the highest scoring guy on this page, and he probably is. If you look at all the different players in the rookie class, he's probably the highest scoring guy. But right after him is Cooper Flagg at 645.9. Right now, Cooper Flagg is a starter. Con Canupul is a starter. VJ Edgecomb is a starter. Everybody else here that I have not mentioned, they're all not starters. Well, Trey Johnson started to become a starter recently. But you can see the amount of points that I have right now. My delta is that I'm leading you by 439.47 points. It was way worse lately, last week, but it got better because some of your guys started showing up. Namely, Ace Bailey, who's starting to start And of course, Cooper Flagg has had a couple blow-up games. He had like he's really showed out in the last couple games where he scored like 40-something fantasy points. So he's done pretty well, man. So anything you want to point out here, man? Let me real quick before I ask you. Johnny Broom hasn't played hardly at all, right? But he scored 238 points because he had a great summer league, and he also had a decent preseason. What's hurting you, bro, right now is that the guys Malawach and Fleming, they hardly play. They hardly play. That's the problem. But Dylan Harper hasn't played in a long time. Johnny Broom hasn't played in a while. So it's really coming down to Con Knuppel, Edgecombe, and Murray Boyles versus Flagg, Bailey, and Trey Johnson. It's essentially what it's coming down to, right?
At this point, that's what that is. Correct.
Yeah. Cool. So anything you want to bring up or anything before?
No. Just come on, Flagg, up. Maybe the next time we see this chart, he'll be number 1 in scoring.
He might be as far as points and might be on the rookie ladder too, right? So we shall see. Assuming barring any injuries, right?
Eddie, I'm not trying to make more work for you, but you know what'd be interesting is to grab the top 5 players that we didn't draft and see how that competes against ours.
Say it again. The top 5
top 5 players that we didn't draft.
Right? Oh, in order, right?
Yeah, just whoever those are, and see how that matches up against what we're doing.
The only thing is that I would probably only do comparison of the regular season. It would take. Just I'll do it in time. I don't mind doing it. I'll do it in time. Yeah. Maybe at the end of the season.
Because obviously there's a lot of Charlotte Hornets that were on that team.
Yes.
You only have Knuppel, so that would be interesting where they rank. Will Richards. Neither of us drafted him. I'd be interested in what his kind of score is on this scene. So anyway, that was the only thing. But again, not. If you have time, which I know we don't, but
no problem, man. All right, so let's go on to the next slide before we go into your segment. So this is before the season started, Twan and we went ahead and did a conference seedings prediction, right, for each of the conferences. And we did this last year, and we have a scoring system that you can see on the bottom right. The scoring system is if you get the exact slot that the team is actually where they're seated, for the conference, you get 5 points if it's the exact match. You get 3 points if you're one off in any direction, and you get 2 points if you're off in two slots from any direction, and then you get 0 after that. So the total maximum points that you can get here for each conference is 75 points. Okay, because that's 5 times 15 is 75. Then you multiply that by 2, then that's 150 points total, right? That you can get if you get it all right. Now you can see right now our bottom line score right here. Twan, you have 40 points. Last week when we did this, or last time we kind of looked at this, you had 38, so you went up by 2. And then I have 48 points, which is the exact same that I had at 48 points of last time. But you can see that where I kind of make a lot of ground on you is on the West right now, right? I got 26 points in the West out of a possible 75. You have 17 points possible out of 75, just because a lot of those guys that we predicted to be finishing higher. I mean, we all picked the Thunder would be at number 1, right? And they are. So but you can see that there's been a lot of the West is very hard to predict. I think all of this is hard to predict, but we're the only ones that really do this, right? We measure ourselves against our predictions, and I like to, we wanted to kind of make this little contest for everybody to kind of jump on the wagon to do this. Maybe we can make a contest for next season and give out prizes. I don't know. We have to talk to our producers about that, right? But anyway, so you can see here, this is kind of how we're doing. And then, so anything you want to point out here, bro, before we move on?
No, those Nuggets Rockets predictions. That's what's that's extra, 4 points for you right there.
Yeah, because I had the top 3. I had them exactly.
I had the Rockets above the Nuggets, and you had the Nuggets above the Rockets. So.
Correct.
But we'll see how this plays out. The whole bottom, that whole from 7 down is just really just all over the map.
It's ugly, dude.
Yeah,
I know, huh?
Blazers are doing better than I thought. The Warriors are doing worse than I thought. Jazz are doing better than I thought. You can just kind of go down, and I think for you and I picked the Jazz to be last. You thought less of the Kings than I did. I had them at 12. You had them at 14, which right now is spot on. So no, it's going to be interesting. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. The Spurs, I had them at 10th. You had them at 10th, and clearly they're playing very well.
But they're falling now without Victor.
We're going to see how that impacts them.
Yeah, we're going to see how that impacts them for sure. And without Dylan Harper now too, right? And then what's his name just came back, De'Aaron Fox. He just started coming back to play again. So, all right, bro. So we're at 55 minutes, and we kind of said that it's going to be a little longer this because we still have to go through our Warriors segment. But we want to do something fun here because Swan did a little research here, and we want to kind of to go ahead and look at the top rated point guard, shooting guard, small forward in the NBA from each conference, right?
Correct.
So we want to kind of see. So I'll let you kind of. I wanted to kind of paint the picture, but go ahead and
yeah. So you know, obviously, in order to eliminate some of the like astronomical numbers, what I did was I filtered it by the player had to at least be averaging over 10 minutes per game.
Okay.
Right? Because you had some players that had like 2 minutes per game and had like a 80 something plus net rating, and you're like, come on, that's not. So what I ended up doing was that was the first filter. The second one is, you know, some of these players can be considered, you know, like Grady Dick can be considered a power forward and a small forward. You know, some of these players play multiple positions. So, you know, when they were either or, I slotted them in, you know, to the position that made sense for this particular a posting, just so we can see that. But, you know, there's a couple of, you know, what I find fascinating about this net rating is that typically you're going to see names here that you're less familiar with, you know, and to me, the fascinating thing is when you look at the Thunder, right? Both Chet Holmgren for his position at center, which obviously we can argue he's a power forward, not a center. But and for Shai Gilgeous as a point guard, you can argue he's not a point guard. He plays point guard. But they were the two names that pretty much everyone's going to know on this list. And they were, you know, outside of Wendell Moore Jr. for the Pistons, they were probably up there in the highest rating. You know, Max Kleber as well for the Lakers. He's got a real high net rating. And then, you know, then you have some of the up-and-comers like Amen Thompson. You and I talked about Amen Thompson for the Rockets. He's a very good player. He has one of the lowest net ratings on this chart, but he's a very good player.
Absolutely.
And my guess will be that some of these net ratings that we're seeing in some of these players, they're going to drop, while his is probably going to hold firm right around where he has it right now, around 16. Jalen Green, who was the person they traded Durant for Houston, you know, he's been hurt off and on, but he is averaging above 10 minutes a game, and he had a very high net rating of 61.2, which tells me, you know, when he plays, they're successful. So that stood out to me. Let's see. Going up to the East again, you know, we've got Naquan Tomlin for the Cavaliers.
Oh yeah, he's been playing a lot recently.
Yeah, he's obviously, you know, and as a power forward, you know, obviously they got Mobley and Jared Allen there who play the big men, so he's squeezing some playing time in there, which is good for him. He's got, you know, a 20.1 net rating. Neemias Quetta, the Celtics, you know, he's been getting a lot of time over there. Obviously, they lost both Horford and the kid that went to San Antonio.
Luke Cornett.
Luke Cornett. Yeah, Luke Cornett. Yes, Luke Cornett. So he's been filling in for that, and he's been doing fairly well from a net rating perspective.
I agree with that.
Yeah, and so when you look at some of these teams, you know, they've all had these are all teams that have been more successful at least some point in the season this year than we had anticipated. Obviously, the Bulls started off really strong. The Pistons are the hottest team in the NBA right now. You know, the Thunder are the best team in the NBA right now. Then you look at the Raptors, which is Eddie's kind of, this team's going to rise. There's representation there. We've got the Cavaliers. The Celtics, I think, have been playing better than we had anticipated. You know, so the only real surprise for me was the Max Kleber from the Lakers being in here. You know, I hadn't really heard his name a whole lot, but, you know, he was a little bit of a surprising, but he was averaging more than 10 minutes, and he's got a 33.2 net rating. So,
but if you look like, you know, out of all the guys here on this list, you have 10 players here. You have 5 from the East, 5 from the West.
Correct.
There are 3 starters in the West that are on this list. Okay, you have Amen Thompson for the Rockets, you have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and you have Chet Holmgren. All the other guys are rotational pieces, guys that really don't play that much. But that goes to show you how freaking scary the Thunder and Rockets really are. If you have, you know, net rating guys like Shai being probably, he's the best point guard net rating guy in the NBA from a point guard standpoint, right? He's even better than the best guy in the East, and Javon Carter, who's a rotational piece. And usually, you know, the starters, when you kind of compare net ratings, usually they're not as high as guys who are rotational pieces, just because, you know, they are more prone to do more negative the more minutes they play, right?
Plus, they're playing typically against the second team from the other squad as well.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but that just goes to show you, when you first started kind of looking into this, I thought that I was going to see nothing but Thunder on the West. That's what I thought I was going to see, because they're the best. Because I thought they were they're the best. So if the net team, if they have the best net rating from a team standpoint, then that begs to tell you that their team, their players are going to have the best net ratings as well, right? And
Yeah,
sure enough, two
but
of
that's
them are on there.
that's the interesting thing about net ratings, right? And one thing that I would argue is Jalen Green. He's arguably going to be a starter once he gets a little more acclimated and gets in there and plays a little
Yeah.
more. So
Yeah.
he's potentially a starter there. So it's safe to say that of the five players in the West, 4 are starters. With Maxi Kleber being really the only one who's probably not going to be a starter at any point. But that's the interesting thing about net rating, right? Like someone like Amen Thompson, they started off a little rough, Houston did, and then they did good. But like if Amen sits while they're hitting rough, and then when he comes back in, the points go up, you can ride that wave where your net rating is pretty good, even on a poor team. You might even had a pacer here or something like that, where when that particular pacer plays, the team plays better. But in any case, I agree with you. I expected to see more, like less starters, and for the West, that is a very scary thing. I mean,
I know. I think this was really cool, man. Let's continue doing this. Let's correlate this at the same time we do the rookie watch. I think it's good to do this, once a month, just to see, how this list changes. I don't think it's going to change much in the West, but the East, I think, is going to change quite a bit, right? So
and some of these numbers have got to drop. You're not going to keep a 37.
Yeah, exactly. For sure. He may not even be on there, later in the season, right?
Yeah, I agree. And if their minutes drop, like I said, I'm using 10 minutes as the filter. So if their minutes drop on average, then they're going to drop from the list.
Or maybe what you could do is maybe scale up to 15 and see what happens.
Yeah, we could do that as well. If you think 15 is a better number.
Yeah, let's try that. Let's do 15, maybe even do 20, right? 15, we'll do 15 and then 20 the next time and see what happens, man. So
absolutely.
Cool, man. Hey, this was cool, man. I like this, man. We'll keep doing this. All right. So then our final segment is, like we said, we always take a walk around the NBA first, and then we go and dovetail into our weekly Warriors segment. So here is the question I want to ask you. Have the Warriors played the hardest schedule? Have they turned the corner? Are they better without Kuminga? And who needs to play more or less, bro? So these are questions I want to kind of kick off the conversation about the Warriors. Now, in the last week, after they got blown out by the Thunder, they got blown out and they got humbled, right? So did the Lakers, right? Yep. The Thunder are by far the best team in the NBA, right? And then right after that, they played the Victor Wembanyama Spurs, beat them 2 times on the road, right? Back to back. Then they played another game and they beat the New Orleans Pelicans, who were a team that's been they're faltering. And then lo and behold, they lost the other night to the Orlando Magic, right? And you mentioned that they're playing tonight. All their scrubs are playing against the Miami Heat, so I don't know how they're doing. I haven't looked, but I want to ask you: since that game against the Oklahoma City Thunder, did they turn a corner? Right, that's one question. And then, have they had the hardest schedule to this point?
So the hardest schedule answer, obviously I'm not in tune with everyone's schedule.
Yeah.
The Warriors' schedule, given their age, given their makeup, given their traveling, that schedule is insanely hard.
They played 17 games in 30 days, man.
No, I know. It's and I don't understand, like, you have all of these injuries, all of these things, and you start to see. I remember when we were younger, the NBA season started on Halloween. It pretty much started on Halloween, right around there. Now it's starting, 2 weeks before that. Like, I don't understand. Like, they keep expanding the season, but you still have to have these back-to-backs. Like, why? You know, and then the baseball, the baseball schedule with San Antonio. I don't really understand that either. Why you got to play them? Again, why couldn't you have gone to Houston and then played San Antonio the next day or whatever? That's just I don't understand that. But yeah, I think they have an insanely hard schedule.
Yep.
Have they turned a corner? So you and I had a conversation about this. Yes. The only corner to me that exists is how well Curry's playing. And really, we can talk about this.
Dude, is Curry better than ever? Let me ask you that, since you brought up Curry.
Sure, at times, yes. At times, he can't be that the whole stretch.
Yes,
but yes, he knows like how would I put this? Curry has become, they have that slogan, petty Curry or whatever, where he's being petty and he remembers things. And yeah. So he has become really good at knowing when to turn it on. He has got that skill of his has gotten better and sharper, and he's more deadly. Like he knows when he has to do what he has to do, and he can do it more consistently. But what he can't, to me, he can't be the guy that carries this team. And I don't know if you saw, there was they caught it on the tape against the Orlando game where Jimmy Butler passed to Hield to Buddy, and Buddy like didn't know where the pass was going, and it came over his head. And Butler's yelling at him like, "Pick up your hands! I'm not going to pass to you anymore." Like things like that, dude. Like, Butler. I mean, Hield's a go-lucky guy, so he probably didn't make anything out of it. But those are the kind of things that I see, and I'm like, this is Butler starting to kind of get a little angrier and a little more annoyed, And so these are things that I see, and I'm like, I don't know how that sits well, but I don't think they've turned the corner. They go as far as Curry's going to take them at this point. Maybe Will Richard, and this is putting way too much pressure on the kid, but maybe he becomes somebody who can consistently alleviate Curry, because right now, take Moses Moody, right? Moses Moody starts off that game where he scores seven 3-pointers in the first
2 points. Yep.
And then only gets one more the rest of the game. Like, that's too inconsistent. Yeah. If you start off that hot, you should at least get 2 or 3 every quarter for the rest of the game.
Yeah, but then the guy probably he's not used to kind of shooting that much. He's playing really hard D. His legs probably got tired, man. That's probably why he wasn't able to shoot as well. Which is incredible about Curry is that it's a known thing that guy's workout is legendary. He's like Jerry Rice legendary in the NBA, right? Yep. There's nobody that can do that guy's workout. That guy is nonstop running around the court. Nonstop, bro, and he still is able to shoot at a high rate even later in the games, right? It's incredible. It's incredible what he can do. And it just goes to show you, like, a guy who's not as conditioned like a Moses Moody, right? He's his shot is going to experience hardships or dry spots because he's just not as well conditioned. He's a bigger, burly guy than Curry. Curry has been doing this for quite some time, and his body's used to it, man. So that's why he's able to maintain it. There's nobody else in the NBA that can do what Curry does. There's nobody else. I mean, Klay Thompson could, but and he's a pretty good conditioned athlete too. But he's not the same anymore, right? So it's just in order for this offense to work, bro, they need somebody to step up and shoot when Curry isn't on, right? And the other night when they played against the Pelicans, they were lucky that the Pelicans weren't that good because Curry didn't have a good scoring night, and they still won by 20, right? It just kind of goes to show you how bad the Pelicans really are. But they need another guy to shoot. They need a Moses Moody to step up, Will Richards step up, Quentin Post to step up. Dude, Jimmy Butler has been shooting threes at a pretty good clip, and he's never been known to be doing that, man. So that's incredible that he's doing that, right? But Buddy Hield, he's very, very streaky, man. My friend group, right? Matt, Peckerhead, always chiming in. God, man, Hield sucks. He's always chiming in, and he is. He's a streaky guy. He doesn't suck. He's just streaky, and I think we need more than streaky on this team in order for the team to go where they want to go, right? So, anyway, so let me ask you this: Kuminga, okay? Kuminga hasn't played in the last 3 or 4 games, right? He has it's not a calf strain. He has something else. Is it? I think it is
quad strain.
Quad strain. So is it a correlation? That this is happening, that they're winning without, or is it causation or is it correlation? Well, that they're winning without Kuminga.
Let me ask you something. Let me give you my conspiracy theory.
Okay.
Do you think Kuminga's really hurt, or do you think that in order for everyone to save face, they're exaggerating an injury so they can do this? Because Kerr has said Kuminga's going to start.
Yes.
No matter what.
Yeah, he said moving forward. He was going to start moving forward.
And the interesting part is, as soon as Kuminga comes out, they put Will Richard in the starting lineup, and Pajecki loses his starting role.
Yes.
Right. So what I find fascinating is, why did Paz lose his role? Right. Like that doesn't make any. If you thought Paz would have been the starter, then he should have continued to be the starter. Then you put him in with Moody or Will Richard, either one, and then you go that way. I'm wondering. I'm sure he's hurt. I'm not saying he's not hurt, but I'm feeling like they're being extra cautious. I'll put the air quotes.
Yeah.
They're being extra cautious because they want to see how these things develop with some of these other players.
Yeah, but I got to tell you, bro. I'll tell you this, and I've said this to you before. Kuminga is playing way better this year, right?
Yeah.
Has he shown his spots, like you said, right? Once a leopard, always a leopard, right? You shave the freaking, you shave off the hair and the spots are still there, right? Okay. Kuminga does have a tendency to revert back to some bad habits, right? But you can't ignore this guy's ability from a one-on-one standpoint. He needs to get better at dribbling, right? And I think that's something he needs to work on in the offseason more than ever, is because that's where he lost. A lot of turnovers were there when he's trying to drive to the basket, because he's a super athletic guy, but his dribbling ability isn't the greatest. It's not bad. It's just not the greatest, right? And he does shoot better than he has in the past too. His three-point shooting has gotten better. He's got that, kind of turnaround shot. I mean, because he has a jumping ability. He actually has a good scoring game, right? And his rebounding game has gotten better, and his passing game has gotten better. My whole thought on this is that for the Warriors to get to where they need to go this season, they need that guy to be playing at the way he was playing in the first 4 or 5 games of the season. Yeah. Now, if it means that he, Kerr kind of says, hey, step aside, we need you to do this and this and that, tough love, right? You got a contract, you got your $25 million a year, but I need you to do this. Well, you were doing that great, and now you're not doing it. I need you to step up. And because you're not doing it, I'm going to put somebody else in and see what happens, right? But I need you to work on this stuff. Easily could have done it and said that, right? So that could be saving the face thing a little bit. But I think Kuminga playing the way he did, I think that's the ingredient that the Warriors are missing in order to get to where they want to go. That's my opinion.
No, okay. Let me ask you this. Everyone's healthy. You got a serious game to play.
Yeah.
You gotta pick right now between Will Richard and Kuminga. Who you playing?
Well, right now I would say it depends on who you're going up against. And the reason why I say that is because what Will Richard does, he's a very good defender for his size, right? Very long. He's got long ass arms, man. And he can shoot better than Kuminga, right? So for this Warriors offense to work the way that they had designed it, the way Kerr has, I've always kind of been screaming that they need to kind of change their offense sometimes too, because they're kind of a little bit predictable. I think that Will Richard makes the machine go better from an offensive standpoint, right?
Yes.
From a defensive standpoint, he's very good at it from a perimeter. When he's guarding a smaller guy, yes. But Kuminga can guard the bigger guys because he's big. He's a bigger guy, right? So that's why I kind of said it depends on who they play. But,
well, see, therein lies the rub, Eddie. You said something that I think for this particular Warriors team, they're a better team when Will Richard is in there than when Kuminga's in there.
Yes.
I'm not saying
but you need Kuminga.
You do, but that, and again, we've had this discussion as well. You need him at times.
Yes.
Right? At times. But that's the thing that Kuminga, in my opinion, has a hard time understanding or processing. Like it's almost like you got to hit like a little bit, okay, it's Kuminga time. But otherwise we need you to be Will Richard. Like we need you to be this guy until we tell you not to be this guy. And I think that Kuminga he's not good at that. Right? I don't know what it is. I don't want to say I'm speaking for him, but I just think he thinks he has one way of playing, and that's the only way that he can contribute.
I get you. I know what you're saying.
And that's the part. So to me, yes, I agree. Kuminga's more talented than Will Richard.
Yes.
But he doesn't know when to apply it.
Yes.
That's the hardest part.
Yes. 100% correct. Right. But but Kuminga is a young kid still, right?
Yes.
He's probably very hard-headed, in thinking that his way is the right way, right? I think that he got humbled a little bit, and I think he's bought into what needs to happen. I think him not playing right now might be serving as a gentle reminder. I don't want to say gentle, but a reminder that, this is the way we need you to play, or else you're not going to be playing as much as you did, right? We'll relegate you to be a coming off the bench guy. We know you have starter potential, but we're going to relegate you to be coming off the bench. You'll still play, but I need you to do what this guy's been doing, right? Yeah. I need you to do more of what this guy's been doing, right? And I guarantee you Steve Kerr's been doing that. I guarantee it.
I will tell you, Eddie, in the history of that I've been watching Warrior basketball, Kuminga is the most unique. I don't want to say unique player, but he's been in the most unique position that I've ever experienced being a Warriors fan. I don't ever recall anyone being in this position. Old Warriors would, hey, if you got the skill, show it. Show it non-stop.
Yeah.
The Warriors are asking him to stunt certain parts of himself.
Right.
Don't do that. Do this. And this is just such a weird situation, because in a league where athleticism rules, you're asking the best athlete, because you can argue he's the best athlete on that team.
Yes.
You're asking the best athlete to tone it down. And that's just such a weird thing to do.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but maybe not necessarily tone it down, but we need you to do more than just that.
Correct. But we need you to focus more on this, less on that.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. But we still value what you can do. We just need you to do all this other stuff to be even more valuable, right?
But that's where I'm thinking. I'm coming and I'm saying, but I can do all these things nobody can. Why aren't you letting me do them?
Yeah. I hear you. But I think he's coming around, right? Whether he stays on the team after the trade deadline, it remains to be seen. But the trade deadline doesn't have until February, right? So there's some time for him to come around and get back to where he was. I have confidence in the kid that he is, because he already displayed it to us, right? For a longer period of time than he did last season. Did he have some games where he, kind of reverted back? Yes. But it wasn't as long as what he was showing, in my opinion, right? So it's just that
I will tell you this, Eddie. If it's either this February or in the off season, he's gone. He's gone. Yeah,
it's possible.
That's my call. I think he's gone. Yeah.
I will say that
Curry retires tomorrow, and they gotta build. Then no. But outside of that, I think it's just not going to work.
I say that he is gone if he doesn't display what he was displaying early on in the season. If he does and he's more consistent, he stays. That's my call. All right.
Okay.
All right, brother. Well, hey, man, we're at an hour and 17 minutes. This has been one of our longer shows.
Going back to our old ways.
Yeah, we went back, but we had a lot more content. We went ahead and did a walk around the NBA like we always do, but we added a couple of new segments. We did this rookie watch that we're going to do once a month, and then Twan did this best net rating by position for each of the conferences, which I think is a cool segment, because I think that's going to change every month as well, right? Just like the rookie watch is going to change. And then we went ahead and dovetailed into our weekly Warriors segment, where we talk about the Warriors, because this is our team, right? But anyway, this is episode 64.
So really quick, Eddie, before just because you had one question on there, who should play more or less?
Oh, okay.
Just really quick, a shout out to our boy Pat Spencer.
Oh, he
2 rebounds shy of a triple-double today.
Did he really? Did they win?
No, they lost. But 11 points, 8 rebounds, 13 assists.
Nice, dude. You know what? I played him in the FanDuel thing tonight. In our little Warrior thing, I played him.
Yes.
So,
he did well. And you look at Pod's numbers, right? Pod's had a good game. Played 2 more minutes than Spencer. He had 20 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 assists.
Oh,
so
cool.
To me, that's why Spencer needs to. I would consider Spencer more than Pods.
I think so too. I think so too.
I just wanted to throw that out there really quick. Because
I think I like Spencer. I like him a lot, man. And he's rough and tough. Did you see him?
Yeah, he don't take no smack.
He don't take anything, man. He's tough, man. Yeah. And I forgot
he's on my short list of needs to play more.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I agree with you. All right, so we went ahead and dovetailed into our weekly Warrior segment. But anyway, we try and keep this within 45 minutes, right? But this particular episode, we went 30 minutes over, a little bit over that, but we're not going to be like that all the time. We're just going to do this once a month. We're just going to be like this, but we're going to go back to our 45 minutes max, time. So anyway, we appreciate you listening to us. I'm Eddie Aparicio. This is Anthony Twan Corral. This is Buzzer Beaters episode 64. We're here every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Please tune in. We're here live because we want to hear from you. Anyway, if you've been listening to us, we really appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again next week. Take care, everyone.